Greetings, people. We are students studying IGCSE Global Perspective at Chinoy School. I am Amirtan. So let's get into the topic. I'm sure most of you have heard about globalization, right? Even when you're passing through a bus station or casually sitting at a cafe, you encounter globalization in some shape or form. So what exactly is globalization?
Hi everyone, my name is Amina. Over the years, this term has acquired many definitions from famous sociologists, including Thomas Friedman. He described it as inexorable integration of markets, nation-states, and technologies, enabling individuals, corporations, and countries to reach around the world farther, faster, deeper, and cheaper than ever before. Another sociologist and journalist, Thomas Larson, has described it as the increasing ease of interaction between people worldwide through reduced distances and barriers. It may sound confusing, but globalization in simple terms is just the process of people and nations becoming more connected with each other.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Tushirkan. So, how did this process begin, you may ask? Well, it goes way back to Romans. Wealthy Romans wanted silk from China, and they established a trade relationship, which opened the door to globalization. A fun fact, the road in which people used to bring silk is now called the Silk Road. Took the meaning of literally. The process accelerated at a significant fast rate. During the age of exploration, at the time, adventurers like Columbus and Vasco da Gama were finding new routes to reach places.
So it has a long history. However, the first wave of globalization only started in the 19th century following the European colonization and trade activities. In this century, when things are developing at an extremely fast rate, countries are also being introduced to new technologies and communication. The effects of globalization are controversial, like a double-edged sword. And how exactly does this benefit us? Economy is a vital part for a country to exist. Many countries rely on trade, which comprises more than half of today's GDP. So globalization helps you live a stable life. What else? Well, globalization can be beneficial, especially for developing countries, to increase their economic stance. New investment opportunities equals better infrastructure and other important projects like healthcare.
We also gain something from sharing ideas, skills, technologies across borders. We feel more connected. Let's take Apple, a large tech company, as an example. They export their products to every corner of the world. As a result, 1.36 to 1.46 billion people are using their tech in 2026. Technology makes things much easier. It allows faster communications, access to knowledge and information, culture exchange, etc.
Wow, globalization does it all. How fascinating is that? Having the ability to bring people closer regardless of borders and nations.
However, it's also not all sunshines and rainbows. This closeness can lead to negative consequences. Inequality, for example. The gap between the rich and the poor widens, and sometimes the citizens in poor countries may not even have access to basic human rights.
Globalization speeds growth, but it can vary. For example, developed countries like USA and China can keep growing at a faster pace than anyone. Developing countries just can't catch up unless they implement some fantastic policies. In addition, it also leads to cultural assimilation, as it can cause local cultures to disappear. When global culture spreads through social media, especially Western culture, it often influences people and leads them to abandon their tradition and join dominated ones.
Minority languages are also being abandoned as a result. More and more people are speaking English. Some prefer to choose globally accessed language over their native ones. It's also a problem in Mongolia. You can hear kindergarten kids talking in English from their home to kindergarten. Loss of cultural diversity can lead to self-identity confusion, dilemma, and more. A hot topic, Eileen Gu, an Olympic champion, is being criticized for not choosing to represent America. It can also be related to globalization, as she may become confused about her identity. whether she's Chinese or American.
No such thing as perfection. Although on the surface, globalization may seem full of benefits, behind the packs of dust, you can see some shadow lurking in it. So to raise awareness on this topic, we prepared 11 slide presentation to show other students.
We've reached the conclusion that globalization is mostly influencing younger generations. Since their brains haven't fully developed yet, they are not prone to any information they gather. Thus, we created a poster and put it in classes for others to see. Every time we present before classes, we always make sure to have a team meeting.
To make learning effective, we got permission from our teacher to hold a booth to invite students to play fun games related to globalization. Many kids came as a result, and we believe we were able to, at least on a moderate level, inform people on this topic.
Before everything started, we surveyed from 100 people to assess their knowledge on globalization. It turned out that many kids were not too sure about it. In addition, to get accurate results, we interviewed students to hear their opinions.
What do you think of globalization?
I think globalization is when one major powerhouse culture is in control and affecting every single part of the world. Like, for example, Western culture is very common and everyone knows about Western norms.
Afterwards, we presented our presentation using Canva.
All students were actively engaged and immersed to the presentation that gave us the motivation to continue. Furthermore, we distributed a fun little poster around classrooms. To catch people's attention, we used 4 different layouts.
The results of the survey matched our hypothesis. Most of them were unaware of how it affects their daily lives. In short answer questions, acronym IDK stands for I don't know was the most frequent answer. After we collected data, it was clear that we needed to implement a course of action that would help with the problem.
So, we came up with 3 ways. Starting a cultural club at your school is one way. By doing this, it encourages students to participate in traditional festivals more and increases their curiosity of learning.
Another way, a bit difficult to implement but can have a big impact, making it mandatory to learn one's language and culture through special classes. This could further encourage students to learn more and not risk minority languages and traditions going extinct.
The last way is to start volunteering activities to preserve our culture. This could be implemented at school as a project. By doing this, students realize the importance of one's culture and value.
At the end of the day, these problems are not likely to decrease as the world is moving at an exponentially fast rate. However, all we could do is slow it down or help it.
This problem is huge but lacks the attention it needs. Through this project and video, we hope we achieved our aim of spreading awareness. Thank you.
Darling, so it